Hello, welcome in. My name is Megan, and what we're going to do today is dive into a client case study on a Navy pilot who basically needed to drop 3 inches off her waist in 8 weeks, and we did just that. And we also were able to improve her overall PT score. She went up in a level in the Navy PT test. So let's just basically dive in. Now, if you're new here, let's dive in on who I am. So let's get this guy a little bit smaller. There we go. So my name's Megan, like I said, and I am the CEO and founder of Valkyrie Fitness and Nutrition. Now, if you've seen any of my stuff before, I'm not here to be like super techie. I'm not here to make things flashy on my YouTube channel. My job is always to be extremely straightforward on how we do things because I think the type of women that I work with appreciate that. And they understand that, like, they just want answers. They want a no BS approach, and that's exactly what I do. So within my own fitness journey, I gained 30 pounds in law enforcement. I struggled a really long time when I first got in because I tried a lot of stuff, apps, ebooks. You might be in the same exact position. I was working nights and then transitioning to day shifts every 2 weeks. My 12 hours turned to, 16-hour days on top of a commute. And I just felt like nothing understood what that was like. And it was really hard to manage because I was also the only woman on my squad. So it's not like anyone else was dealing with the same issues I was dealing, right? Where for the guys, it was easy for them to just cut out a bunch of stuff and the weight would come off. It was a little bit more difficult for me. And I got super frustrated. I created my own systems. At this point, my team and I have helped almost 1,000 women. We're getting really close to that 1,000 mark. So we're on the cusp of hitting that probably in the next couple of weeks. We've helped women shift workers, military. When I say shift workers, it could be anywhere from law enforcement, fire, EMS, dispatchers, healthcare. Essentially women working anywhere from 12 to 40-hour shifts. And this can vary. I've worked with second responders, so to speak. We've worked with pilots. We worked with, people in all types of positions, mortuary, for instance. They also struggle with some weird, crazy hours. People who are on call, you get the gist, right? So over the years, I have created a team of women who have worked the same shifts, right? Like women who have an understanding of what it's like. We have women on my team who have kids. We have women on my team who've gone through surgeries because of injuries. We have women on my team who have gone through menopause and perimenopause. So we've also have women on my team who have specializations when it comes to postpartum, prenatal, everything I could really think of that I knew was going to be important to any woman that stepped inside this program is who I pulled into my team. So when I tell women, like, we have experience all the way from understanding autoimmune to injuries, pre-surgery, post-surgery. We've worked alongside of physical therapists. Everything else, like, we have really good understanding on passing PT tests. I have a coach from my team who ran a police academy. I have women who've worked nights. Like, anything I could really think of, we've built that team because it comes down to understanding, right? So really just getting a really good gist on that. So like I said, we've helped so many women at this point between interviews, client transformations, positive things that we've just heard over the years. And I've really taken time to not just interview these women, but pull from what they loved of the program and pull things on what we could change to make it better. So over the years, this program has greatly evolved. It has changed. It has improved. It has done things that I can't even imagine in terms of fixing women's mindsets, to improving their performance at work, to their confidence, to, healing them from taking pain medications, migraine medications. I have seen, and my team has seen, just about everything at this point after, going through so many women's lives, that what we found is, like, it really comes down to having that system in place. I'm going to walk you through exactly how we did this. All right, so let's dive in here on this specific client's journey, right? This Navy pilot who came in to work with us. So I want you guys to get a really clear, good idea. If you're watching this, it's probably because you're interested, right? You're interested on how is this happening? How are we getting women results? Why are we different? I hear that all the time. I've been told this program, it sounds too good to be true, so it might be. I've heard a lot of things and skepticism, right? It's understandable. I 100% get it. I've seen programs like that too. And your question probably is like, how are they doing this? What makes you guys different? So I want you to understand exactly how my team was able to get this client results in a crunch. And I'm not kidding. Like, when you step in with a person, you have to try to undo a really, really, really long time of all of the the things that they have, diets in the past, all the programs, all the misinformation that they've accumulated over the years. And our job is to combat that as quickly as possible and to get them going in the right track in a sustainable manner, right? So I'm going to play, this is the consultation card. I blocked out my client, but we want to make sure like you guys are understanding like these, like we're not using typical methods that most women try to do before like an upcoming tape, right? So if you're in the military and you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. We have gotten on calls with women and they're like, normally what I do is I sit in the sauna and I try to sweat it out for like, an hour, or I just run and I put on a bunch of sweats and all this stuff, right? And a lot of this stuff is not working anymore due to the change in the regulations and the standards. So trying to do this stuff, all it's doing is, anyway, it's just causing more harm than good. The amount of issues in terms of eating problems we've seen just from our military women is overwhelming, and our job is to fix that because, again, these standards don't really put women in the forefront of them, right? The goal for most of them is to make it a little bit harder for women who are built different and stuff like that, or have had kids in the past, and this client had kids. So again, we got to make sure like the typical methods are not being implemented in here, because all that's doing is just telling this client like that's what you're supposed to be doing, and it's not, right? So we don't want to do any crazy stuff to get the inches off. So I want to make this incredibly clear too. Results will vary based on the client's willingness to follow our direction, because I understand that a lot, again, most people will fight a process due to the fact that they're so ingrained in like what they've learned in the past, and they think like that's the way. Like in the past, this worked for me. Like, well, I don't want to do something different than that. And that's why you stay stuck. This client was incredibly willing to listen and follow direction with my team, and it got her there, and we had time to spare. All right. So I just want to be clear with that. So first thing we do is a consultation. It's either going to be with myself or Janine, who's my team member. So if you get on a call with either of us, this is how it pretty much should be structured, right? We're gonna dive into strategy, what we believe is going to get there, those results that they need, right? That's our job, is to pinpoint, to explain whether or not we can help you, because I've gone on many, many consultations and I've had to tell people like, I can't help you, my team's not going to be able to help you. And it typically comes down to willingness. I can just tell. I mean, like I said, after doing this for so long, we just really get a good idea on like how people are going to respond to things. And some people just aren't ready. They're not ready to commit. They're not ready to change. They're too comfortable, all that stuff, right? So let's kind of play this really quick so you can get an idea on what I'm talking about.
So waist over your belly button. My height, because I'm only 5'2.5" to 5'3". I guess I'm 65 inches technically. But okay. They measure me out. I'm 5'3". My waist has to be under 34. Now is 37 because I've been lapsing a decent amount. Okay. I would say in January or February, somewhere in there, I was over 38 and a half. I tried to be a little bit more disciplined, but I haven't moved in the past 2 weeks, and I lost an inch and a half in like 5 weeks, which is not exact. Now I'm literally looking at the clock. I'm like, I have 8 weeks and about 5. Yeah. And it's tight.
Yeah. Has anything happened to you if you don't pass the height waist ratio?
I mean, one, I'm an officer, so it's like a really bad look, and it's a permanent letter that goes into your birth. It's our like personnel command. For me, it would enroll me on SEP, which is the fitness enhancement program. I'll have to attend all this stuff. Personally, my ego would take a huge hit, because I'm also the OIC I'm the officer in charge. So now I'm like, do I need to be, how am I leading my sailors if I'm not, but I'll do it. I can swallow the pill and go do it. Yeah. It will cost me promotion, but I think I'm retiring in a couple of years.
Oh, I'm gonna go back. Of course.
Now, because of its height.
There we go. So you can kind of get a gist on this. We do work with a lot of women in like either higher command positions who understand that, with their fitness, it's incredibly important to get results, because as you move up in rank, right, it's a command presence thing. It's a respect thing. If you're telling your sailors or, people in command of you, like, you have to like pass and get these results, and you're not leading by example, right? This is incredibly important, that we want to make sure like women coming through are setting the standards for themselves just as much as they are the people that they're leading. So you can kind of see, like, I wanted to get an idea on like crunch, like she's like, all this stuff is going to play out in a great career that she's had. And we don't want that, right? We want to make sure like we're taking care of this client from start to finish, and we're getting her in a place that she doesn't have to stress about this anymore, because nothing is worse than knowing that your profession has an incredible demand on you, and yet it still wants you to get in PT. It still wants you to, squeeze it in. And I'm going to show you a couple of things on why I'm talking about. Like, sometimes it's just really hard. So the next thing after she signed up was that getting that fitness assessment so we can have it all in black and white. Why we want this? What are we doing currently? Just everything listed out. Again, the consultation is to ensure like we can actually help her. And then from there, like, another big part of this too is like, remember, like, these women are walking into this system that we've created completely brand new. So our job, right, is to immediately locate the gaps. We're able to figure it out with data on a client in a matter of a few days in order to 10x their results. So remember, right, she's been stuck for quite some time now. She's frustrated. She knows that the clock is ticking. And if you're watching this, maybe you've been in that position before, or maybe you're in it right now, and you're like, how am I going to get these results? How am I going to speed up this process in a way that I can do it and not really do damage to myself in the process? So again, about this client, right? This is her why. Has to lose 3 inches off the waist to pass her Navy BCA. She wants to also feel and look better as a mom to her kids. And like she said, I'm an officer in the Navy. I have to show up for those I'm standing in front of every single day, doing my job. This was her current activity, right? So she's lifting about 2 to 3 days a week. A lot of it was Peloton, about 20 minutes normally for full body. And then I haven't done much cardio, she says. So that's another big component on where she's at. And this is another big thing we see is we get a lot of women that come through that are doing like apps, programs that are just generically made for the masses, okay? She also travels full time, right? Like I said, she was overseas for like over half of the time she started with us. And this was the outcome on May 26th. I'm recording this a little bit later. I've been waiting to kind of piece all this together just to kind of ensure we had everything in place. But she dropped weight. She got down, right? And made tape. So it's super important to see that. Another big thing, right? So right now, 1 in 8 Americans are on a GLP-1 currently. She has been one-on-one for years and has been afraid to get off of it and thinking she's going to gain weight. So as she's been with us, we have actually been transitioning off, and she's been getting better results while off of that GLP-1. Also, we've been improving her performance, right? Now you have to remember the fitness standards are incredibly important as well. So we've been improving her strength, her stamina, her endurance, losing inches in the process, and changing her mindset around the fact that she doesn't need this, GLP-1 in order to get the results she's been aiming for. In fact, what it's actually been doing is it's been holding her back. And this is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people who are in professions like the military, my first responders. These are great tools. But if you're only using them and you're not properly fueling your body and training, it's just going to be a deterrent on getting the results that you're probably looking for. So just a thought there. I'm not against them. I just think ultimately, I think people need to learn how to function with them in order to get the results. So like, to give you an idea on how she's eating, she was getting in like more workouts in this week. I think this was like her first or second weekend. And then what we did is like dialed it back to like 3 to 4 days a week because her travel started to increase. So this was like when she texted, I think it was like March, April, like in like probably beginning of April. And she was like, I just started, I'm already down like that 4 pounds. So this is when she was down that 1.5 inches off her waist. And if you go back, you can see like this is where she finally hit it. All right, so let's keep going. So how do we do this? So staying consistent, and we provided the data, essentially. So communication was her biggest lever to pull. Don't get me wrong, right? We're still working on this client. She is now 10 weeks in. So our job now that she got made tape is to progress, continue forward, keep crushing things. You know, she's setting up calls. We're giving her tips, breakdowns, overviews. She's telling us like her travel. So we have a good idea. She doesn't know her schedule, but she's going to be flying every other day for 12 hours or going on multiple night legs in hotels. So you got to understand, this client's life is not easy at all. This is not a client that we would be like, this is a cakewalk. When she stepped in with us, it was very clear that I knew that if she followed a direction on what we told her, like staying consistent on the data that we were giving her back in order to get those results where she would lose the inches, I knew she would lose the inches off the waist.
What we're going to do is pinpoint, zero in on what that could be, and then go, hey, Jenna.
So this is what we do in the consultation. It's what it should like. It's a strategy on how we plan to get her results based on what she told me. So I'll hit play again so you can get an idea.
Like, this is exactly what you need to do in order to start speeding your results up. So we'll figure that out pretty quickly. From there, again, our job is not either, we're not here to like also make you feel like you have to do a complete 180 on your nutrition. Like, we're not here to make you follow a very strict meal plan, because that stuff, it works for like a short amount of time. But what we want to make sure you're doing is, because you do have kids at home and a family, and it sounds like your husband meal preps, we want you eating to like get you those results. Taking those tweaks, change, and adjustments, showing you how much you should be eating, you know, versus him. But ultimately, our goal isn't to make you feel like you have to follow like a one sheet piece of paper of yes foods and no foods. But like, but at the same time, like, you know, for you, just so we can make sure we're seeing those results, we'll be a little bit, like I said, a little bit different than our normal approaches. We'll be a little bit more like, hey, like, this is what we got to make sure we're doing, so that way you can get the weight off and the inches off. On the other side too is, don't worry, I still have structure.
So again, like, I was very clear with this client. Again, back to the beginning. I'm very straightforward on how we are going to approach things. And because we were in such a short crunch, I was like, listen, like, what we're going to do for you, it's going to be very like, you know, X, Y, and Z. This is how you're going to have to get things done. I told her face to face, I like looked at her and I was like, listen, like, if you follow what we tell you to the T, to the letter, right? We can get those inches off, but you have to be consistent. You have to commit to this, and I get it. It's going to be hard. And she even said it like towards the beginning. She's like, I'll do whatever I have to. And I was like, cool. Like, let's rock it. None of this in which we did was restrictive. I will be very clear with that. She was never once feeling restricted at all. In fact, she's been eating more than she ever has. And I guarantee you that's exactly what we've done in order to get the weight off, is teaching her how to properly fuel her body for those long days. She's in a plane for a really long time. And it's not easy for people to know how to navigate shifts like that. That's the biggest gap we see in the fitness space, is like, people are out there telling people eat less, move more, yada, yada, yada. But what are you supposed to do when you're traveling overseas? You're in a completely different time zone. You don't have access to a microwave. You're flying for 12 hours straight. Like, be so for real in some of these fitness programs. And that's why I get so frustrated when I see a lot of coaches out there, because they just don't get it. They don't understand it. They don't know what it's like. They think that everyone has the same amount of hours in the day, and it's just not true, right? So we built a plan designed around her. No 5 to 6 day workouts, no 2-hour workouts that would have actually caused more damage to her. We figured out her nutritional gaps, which is a huge component. I don't know why this is find a workout buddy. And then give her a realistic goal for her job. All right. Because again, I see too many other programs give out BS meal plans that don't take into account for these types of professions. And that's why most of these women are failing, and they're coming here. So I will preface on this, right? Everything we do is actually custom. You've probably signed up for custom programs and you've gotten greatly disappointed. Me too. I've been there. Sign up for a program. This is going to be great. It's going to be custom. They're going to ask me all these questions. I'm going to get everything like super dialed in. And I got an email with like a PDF or something just lame. You know what I mean? And I probably should have knew, right? If it's cheap, it'll never be custom, right? Because what we do is not an ebook. It's not an app with generic plans. It's not one size fits all approach. And this client understood that in order for her to succeed, she needed a real person in her corner to ensure she could show up to her PT tests prepared. It's so important. So how does this even work? How do we use this system? And you caught a glimpse of like my fat burner blueprint when I was talking to her. And this is the biggest piece of the puzzle. I will tell you right now, you cannot outwork your nutrition. Everyone says 80%. I say it's 90% of your actual results. If you don't understand it, you will never get the body composition, the weight loss that you want, because you'll keep going through this loop of quick fix diets, cutting things out, binge eating, restarting the process, and it goes over and over and over again, especially my military women. Like the amount of women I talk to in the military who have to make tape or hit a certain weight, who have crash dieted the week or two before, and it's completely wreaked havoc on their hormone issues, and now they're dealing with those, which, let's be so for real, like it's gonna wreak havoc in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and beyond because of, just trying to make weight and make tape, whatever it might be. So what we do is, told that client was, we have to ensure that we're figuring out these gaps. We're tailoring things to you. We're tweaking, we're changing, we're adjusting without restrictive dieting. Very, very to the T there. The second thing we did was that goal body bundle, where we came up with a solution for her. She wrote in her fitness assessment. I looked at it before I started this video. I travel for work. I'll have access to a commercial gym. I might need to do home workouts too. So what are we doing? We were navigating and coming up with a plan that's actually benefiting her specifically. And this is where I'm saying, like, when someone has more than one place that they're working out, what do people do, right? They pull up YouTube, they pull out like some like goofy fitness app, and then they just follow like some random workouts, and they like hope and pray like that did something. Like, I feel sore the next day. That's it. It's just not, you're just kind of like piecing things together and hoping that something's going to stick. It never will. We've learned how to come up with a proven system based on well over many different types of workouts, and not in person, but going to the gym versus at home versus someone with a home gym versus someone that only has dumbbells, and how to kind of come up with the solution in order to then get them results. Like it comes down to a science, and it comes down to ensuring that when you're merging those things together, it's actually doing something beneficial, and it's just not like I'm going to use, like, say a shit sandwich, because you guys, if you're military watching this, you'll understand. And that's what most programs are. They're a shit sandwich pieced together with no intention. And that's what most of you guys might be doing. You're just throwing shit together, hoping something sticks. But in reality, it's nothing's working. You just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and hoping for a different result. So what we have to do is come up with systems in place based on where she's ending up, what she has access to, because it's constantly changing, and it needs to change in a way that actually makes sense to help her improve. And that's what she did, right? She's improving not just with her body composition and losing those inches, but at the same time, like, improving on her PT tests. And the lifestyle recalibration is learning how to take back control of your time, balance work and wellness, and create routines that actually last. This is what I mean. This is a missing piece in most programs. No one teaches you time management. No one teaches you how to navigate weird time zones. No one teaches you how to work nights and then ricochet back to day shift to take care of your kids. We do. We understand we've done it. We've been there. We get it. It sucks and it's hard, but my team has done it. So the missing piece for most people, right? They might be getting nutrition help. They might be getting like workouts, but they don't know how to use the time available to them, right? If she's working 12-hour days, 60, 80 plus hour weeks, it's just not going to work. If you got a coach in the back pocket, again, why aren't you getting your steps in? Why aren't you getting 8 hours of sleep? I have people on call that sometimes maybe get 4 hours of sleep, and they're still losing weight, and they're still losing inches, and they're still performing, because we teach them how to cycle their sleep, how there's a whole protocol for that I've created. And it comes down to systems. And once you learn these systems, the goal is creating these that actually last long term. So you don't need another program again. You don't need another quick fix. And in fact, most of my clients, they laugh and they see all this other stuff now, and they're like, man, I can't believe I used to do that, because it just doesn't make any sense anymore. So if this interests you, this is something that you feel like would probably be a good fit for you. This is the program that women, shift workers, military join after they tried it all. And this is for you if you're ready to invest in a program that will be the last fitness program you ever need. It is for women who want results that are realistic and not a quick fix. It's for someone who's ready to commit and actually follow direction from an expert with over 10 years experience, who's done both fitness and being either a first responder, a night shift worker, everything else in between. And on top of being moms, we have a lot of those. And you, again, I'll say this again, you follow direction and are open to feedback. Direction twice, because that's the most important. We want to make sure you follow direction. If this does interest you, there will be a link below this video to a calendar. You will either land on my calendar or Janine's calendar, and it will take you to a form that you would fill out. From there, you will set up a consultation with us. Please be present if you decide to do this. This is your time. Show up on a computer. Don't be showing up on your phone, like where I just look at your nose the whole time. I immediately assume this is not something you're serious about. This is for women who are serious and they're ready to take control of their life. They don't want to play these games anymore. They don't want to get stuck in this diet trap. They don't want to keep spending money on like supplements and all this other crazy stuff that's just not doing anything. And you want something that is built specifically for you. So you can click on that link. That's option number 1, which will take you to the calendar. Option number 2 is you can text that number there at the bottom, 850-905-0772. That is our direct business line. Nikki will talk to you. She will figure out what is up, what's going on. If she feels like we can help you, again, she'll ask, are you open to setting up a consultation with us to get an idea if like we can help you? And hopefully you'll say yes and we can talk either with myself or Janine. If you're not sure and you want to learn more about my team and I, you can click on that link below, or you can also continue to binge watch these YouTube videos that I'm going to continue to put out. It's incredibly important that I show you guys the processes. We show you real life women. I know we have a decent amount of interviews on there, but to break it all down and tell you the how and the why behind it, in my opinion, is incredibly valuable. So that's my website, Valkyrie Fitness Nutrition. Make sure you do /home. It'll show you, everything about us, what we do. It also will prompt you for a consultation. We only take women who want to get on a consultation with us. If you don't want to get on a consultation with us, I hate to say it, we won't be able to help you. Our whole purpose is communication. And the more we communicate with you, the better. So at the end of the day, those are multiple different ways to reach us. The bottom left is my Instagram. You can DM the word coach to my Instagram, and me and you will start a conversation. We'll figure out what's going on. It all leads to, right at the end of the day, jumping on a consultation with us. We're not here to pressure you, but we are here to push you. I am a coach. That's my job. And my job is to help you move forward in your fitness journey, because a decision comes down to this, right? It doesn't require more information. If you want more information, I have everything on my page, behind the scenes, client interviews, everything I could really think of, I've been plugging in there. But it comes down to being uncomfortable in that decision, and that's how you start to make that change. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to be uncomfortable and do things that scared the shit out of me in order to get better. And I will say this right now, if you're someone that is still not sure on what you want, then we probably won't be a good fit for you at the end of the day. So, use my page, look at other things. I have tons of training that have taught women across the world in order to get results, just with what's on there as well. So this is for those women that are ready to take it to the next level and want something and another woman in their corner to get them going in the right direction. So thanks again for watching. Be sure to check out some other videos and keep checking out my page.